Quiz. Should you drive the forklift?
I can and I have.
No. I said should you. You should not drive it. It's not safe. You don't have a license.
Guys, I'm not the only one who's driven the forklift. Pudge has driven the forklift.
A few moments later.
Would you look?
We'll get somebody to clean that up.
We're the ones that gotta clean that up.
Let's get these over to Mar-A-Lago.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have some very, very interesting bits of information this morning. Speaking of someone trying to save themselves, Jack Smith, ladies and gentlemen, Jack Smith, very interesting guy, very interesting individual. Jack Smith was appointed by Eric Holder. I want to set sort of the table here for you to understand who this scumbag is, because he fancies himself and he clothes himself in the robes of the highest possible judicial and election integrity. Yet Jack Smith himself has been, and only ever has been, a Democrat hatchet man. He's obviously the special prosecutor that they're bringing in to look into Donald Trump, to sort of like tie the bow on all of these accusations against Trump. Now, did the government actually set up Trump? We're going to answer that question in just a second. But to answer that question, you have to take a trip down, a primrose trip down memory lane for who Jack Smith is. So who is this guy? 2010, Eric Holder appoints Jack Smith. Jack Smith, in 2010, was looking across the river in Washington, D.C. at a governor named Bob McDonnell. Jack Smith decides to prosecute Bob McDonnell, and this was a guy who was, really popular, obviously. He ran the state of Virginia, and he was somebody who was looking to run for president, and arguably could have run for president in 2012 against Barack Obama. He would have been like a centrist Republican. He was in charge of sort of this purple state of Virginia. And Bob McDonnell needed to be politically destroyed, and they had the right man to do it, Jack Smith. Now, Eric Holder's still running the White House. Eric Holder and the Obama criminal cartel are still running the White House. And here we have, ladies and gentlemen, a perfect example of how they've done this to someone else. And it's very interesting to see the patterns. Pattern recognition is obviously the superpower that we have on this show. We're alive. We pay attention. So check this out. It doesn't even include the name Trump in it, all right? Here is the McDonnell versus United States ruling at the Supreme Court. And this is like really, really interesting. So the DOJ indicts and challenges that Bob McDonnell was corrupt, and that Bob McDonnell had effectively like taken bribes or like accepted cars or in-kind payments or in-kind contributions to his campaign. Kind of exactly, actually, what they asked for, what they said Donald Trump is doing in New York, in the state of New York right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have the sort of paperwork here to show that Bob McDonnell's career was completely destroyed, right, by these charges. Bob McDonnell didn't run for president. They were able to move Bob McDonnell like out of the 2012 run against Barack Obama. And what happened next? After destroying the life and the political potential of Bob McDonnell, this case hits the Supreme Court, and what happens? McDonnell versus United States. What happens? In opinion of the court, Chief Justice John Roberts authored a unanimous opinion. McDonnell's conviction was vacated on the grounds that the meaning of official act does not include merely setting up a meeting, calling another public official, or hosting an event. This was exactly what happened. Exactly what happened to Bob McDonnell. This is exactly what they're doing to Donald Trump right now. They are setting Donald Trump up and charging him. This is why the immunity question is so important for the presidency. They said that Bob McDonnell's actions in office did not constitute official actions and were effectively bribes that were happening in real time, with Bob McDonnell setting up meetings or taking phone calls or driving in donors' cars. They destroyed his political life. They moved him off the table. And then Jack Smith, the same Jack Smith, got reversed at the Supreme Court by John Roberts unanimously, saying Bob McDonnell didn't do any of this stuff. It was just political hatchetry to destroy one of their leading rivals, arguably their leading rival in 2012. Bob McDonnell, would he have beat Barack Obama? I think he would have done a lot better than Mitt Romney did. And so this is proof of the concept of what they're doing to Donald Trump right now. It's called the wrap-up smear. They simply smear their political opponents. They get all the headlines. They know that all the charges are bull. But it doesn't matter. They control the press. They control the media. They're able to destroy, take the name, I haven't said the name Trump at all. This is what they did in 2010 to Bob McDonnell. They were able to destroy the Republican rising up to defeat them. And it doesn't really matter the grounds. The Supreme Court reversed Jack Smith 9-0 in this case. Bob McDonnell is a free man today. But they got their result, which was the destruction of one of their political enemies before that political enemy could destroy them. And they're doing the same thing. It is remarkable. We were live for like 7 straight hours last week, listening to the Supreme Court's decisions on these issues. And what was the question before the court? What is an official act? How did the Supreme Court, led by John Roberts, with a much more liberal bent in 2010, how did they treat this conviction of Bob McDonnell? They overturned it, saying that there is no official act. The meaning of official act does not include merely setting up meetings, calling other public officials, or hosting events. Remarkable. So this is the same game plan. If there's one thing that these people are not, it is creative. They are not creative individuals. It's the same game plan. It's the same players even. It's Eric Holder. It's Jack Smith. It's Barack Obama. And the setup is here. This was the setup, ladies and gentlemen. This is a clip of the inauguration of Donald Trump. Barack Obama walking out with Donald Trump to the helicopters, right? In this moment, there was already a plan hatched for the destruction of Donald Trump. In this moment, there was a set in motion orchestration by these people, even as they're clapping Donald Trump on the arms and hugging and smiling in the photographs. Underneath and throughout the entire federal bureaucracy, there was an organized attempt and an organized plot set in place to destroy the president and to ensure that Jack Smith could do what Jack Smith does. What does Jack Smith do? Jack Smith is a hatchet man. He's not a prosecutor. He is a man who, in Stalin's era, would be like Levante Berra, who was the muscle for Joseph Stalin in his sham trials. The famous line is, "Show me the man, I'll show you the crime." This is what Jack Smith does. Jack Smith sets up and orchestrates crimes for people like Donald Trump. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we have seen this morning in a shocking revelation, in shocking release of documents that we have just gotten light of. You can see how Jack Smith and the O'Biden, I think some people may call it, the O'Biden DOJ, has orchestrated the most muscular of all the charges against Donald Trump, the documents charge, the federal raid, the attack on Donald Trump, his personal property, the raiding of Melania's boudoir. All of this happened through an actual evidentiary setup of the president. Those classified documents, those stolen documents, the nuclear codes, they were all placed there by the government. They were given to Donald Trump. The government had possession of them, and they shipped them to Trump. This is the classic Dave Chappelle. Sprinkle some crack on him. Dave Chappelle, classic comedy bit. The cops, sprinkle some crack on him. Quick, let's get out of here. They are planting the evidence. Federal agency had pallets of documents sent to Mar-a-Lago 1 year before the DOJ raid. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. A federal agency worked with Trump transition team to send 2 pallets of documents, document boxes, relating to former President Donald Trump's presidency to his Mar-a-Lago home 1 year before special counsel Jack Smith then raided the residence to look for classified documents. Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. Okay, here's a passed out guy in a car. Let's plant some crack on him. Then let's go knock on his window and ask us if he has any crack. That is effectively what has happened here. The federal agency that worked with Donald Trump, I will read it again, to send pallets of classified documents relating to the former President Donald Trump's presidency in Mar-a-Lago 1 year before special counsel Jack Smith then raided the residence to look for those documents. Smith indicted Trump in June of 2023 for allegedly mishandling the classified documents 1 year after armed federal agents raided Mar-a-Lago. But the General Services Administration, the people who handle all of the government sort of assets here, was in talk with Trump's team both during and after his term regarding the pallets of items from the president's tenure, emails show. The GSA informed Trump's transition team that there were 6 pallets that needed to be transferred from Virginia to Florida. Of these 6 pallets, 2 were designated to be sent to Mar-a-Lago and 4 were designated to be sent to West Palm Beach storage unit. These storage units, by the way, we covered how Barack Obama had a storage unit next to a McDonald's in Chicago, where all of his presidential documents were stored. It takes these people like long periods of time to, build the palaces to themselves, right? Their presidential libraries. Barack Obama's building his presidential library right now. Where the hell are you going to store all your documents? Presidential library is normally where you keep all the documents from your presidency. Where are you going to store them? Barack, in a container, actually, next to a McDonald's is where Barack Obama continues to store his classified documents. Donald Trump was going to put them in a West Palm Beach storage unit. According to emails, the 2 pallets were delivered to Mar-a-Lago from Arlington, Virginia facility, contained document boxes, according to the email, previewing the shipping charges. I understand that we are ready to ship. An email sent in August 2021 by Kathy Geisler, the Director of Office for Portfolio Management and Real Estate Program Execution Division. That included Trump aide Bo Harrison as a recipient. I know that originally we had 3 pallets going to the storage unit. Now it's 4 pallets going to the storage unit. These are pallets of documents. In July 2021, a letter from Harrison stated that the items to be shipped from Arlington, Virginia to West Palm Beach, Florida, were required to wind down the office of former president and are items that are property of the federal government. It's unclear how long the pallets sat in a Virginia facility or who had access to them. An FBI agent said during a witness interview that the GSA was in possession of 6 pallets from that office, contacted the office of 45 to inform him that they are good to go. According to a screenshot of the transcript posted by independent journalist Julie Kelly. You can see it right here on your screen. So the FBI is signing off on this before they raid Trump. This is bombshell stuff. I mean, this is like murder mystery criminal enterprise stuff. What is the moment? What is the moment of absolute clarity? The moment of Zen, the moment of enlightenment. The moment of enlightenment is understanding that your federal government is an organized crime syndicate. That's it. This is organized criminal activity. The FBI signed off on these documents, said they're good to go. Send them to Trump. Did they, as some have suspected, as Donald Trump has said on Truth Social, did they plant classified documents in these pallets? Is this like a Nixon level thing? Where there's actually like CIA agents that are operationally like ensuring the destruction. Like Nixon's innocent, all right? Nixon was innocent. Nixon was set up. The guys who were raiding the Watergate, those guys, 6 of 7 of them were CIA agents. These guys, they were part of an operation. The person who was leaking all this information was the number 2 at the FBI. This was the deep state turning on Nixon. Because Nixon wanted to investigate and reopen the investigation of the assassination of JFK. So they concocted a scenario to remove Nixon from office. Barry Goldwater famously walked into the White House and said, we're going to have to vote to impeach you. Right? This is the deep state turned on a president. They've done it before. They obviously turned on Kennedy in a physical assassination. This is a legal assassination of Donald Trump, which may turn into a physical assassination. We'll see. They're trying to strip away his Secret Service and put him into the public prison population, which would be a legal assassination. Ladies and gentlemen, we have you can see right here on your screen. Let's click on that image, Klein. You can see right here on your screen the back and forth with the government who held all of Trump's documents. The idea was that Donald Trump was shoving documents down his pants. Here we go. We got all of our documents here. Here's our oh, look at this. It's the nuclear codes. Nigga, quick! Shove them down my pants. Walk out kind of like a duck, like a penguin. Walk out of the White House. Ah! Sorry, I'm so sorry. This has literally been the narrative that has been spit out by the corporate press about Donald Trump, that he was sneaking documents out of the White House in his pants. I've heard that on corporate TV. And now, lo and behold, these documents that Jack Smith, the guy who he's already done one of these Trump operations to Bob McDonnell, the guy who would have arguably had the best chance at beating Barack Obama in 2012. They set this guy up in 2010. They sent Jack Smith on bullshit. I'll say it. Sorry, I try not to swear, but these BS charges. They destroy this Republican who was about to beat or potentially really challenge Barack Obama. They destroy him, and then they're overturned at the Supreme Court 9-0, saying these charges are bull. They're doing the exact same thing to Trump. The charges were over what constitutes an official activity. We just heard the immunity argument. This is Bob McDonnell 2.0. We cannot believe this. They planted the evidence. You can see it here. They planted the evidence on Donald Trump. The FBI approved of all of this going to Trump. The GSA shipped it to Trump. Trump didn't steal jack. The federal government sent this evidence to Donald Trump. Now, did the federal government plant classified documents inside of these pallets? An FBI agent said during the witness interview that they were in possession of the pallets. They contacted President Trump to inform them that they're gonna ship them to President Trump, that everything's good. Somebody has to pick them up, or they have to be shipped, or something to that effect, according to Julie Kelly's research here. The National Archives and Records Administration was also involved in the transition. The archivist, the angry blue-haired librarian archivist of the federal government, David Fierro, had become frustrated at the pace of good faith efforts by Trump's team to address the concerns, filing a screenshot according to Kelly. So the Federalist, who's doing this report here, asked the National Archives whether the pallets shipped by GSA included the documents that were later confiscated by Smith's team. So the librarians got back to the Federalist saying no, they have no awareness of the contents of the materials of the pallets and no involvement in the MOVE project, referencing the GSA email. So it had to be Joe Biden's Justice Department. Guys, I mean, this is unbelievable stuff. The Biden administration was in full control of every single document that went to Donald Trump. Donald Trump stole nothing. They set this man up. They set him up. Julie Kelly has done incredible work on this story, explaining how this all happened. Let's go.
GSA General Services Administration, they handled the transition. They had 6 pallets worth of boxes in a Virginia storage facility for 6 months. 2 of those pallets, about 2,000 pounds of boxes, these were all boxes, were transported to Mar-A-Lago in August of 2021. Now, who the hell knows what were in those boxes? Why were they kept there? Why, if NARA was looking for something, why didn't they just go down the street to Arlington, Virginia and go look in a storage facility? So, and then, Steve, what I found today, I went to the White House visitor log, which is always a good place to go when you want to see who's zooming who. So we saw David Ferrero met with Dana Remus, who was Joe Biden's chief counsel in the White House, met with her twice in September of 2021. Gary Stern met with Jonathan Sue, the deputy general counsel, at the White House. This is all happening at the White House in August of 2021. And then discovered today, Gary Stern again, the NARA general counsel, at the White House with Richard Sauber, who is Joe Biden's special counsel, top lawyer, with him the day before Jack Smith announces the criminal indictment against Donald Trump.
So all of these people are colluding together, and they set up Trump. They set him up. They shipped him the classified document. They knew what they were doing. They shipped the uranium. And they had all of the media stories already planted. Everything was already like the nuclear codes. Remember the nuclear codes? Remember that entire news cycle that Donald Trump kept the nuclear codes? All of that, all of it has been orchestrated. It's been and a setup. They framed him. They did this with Russiagate. They framed Donald Trump. They're practicing the Bob McDonnell, Hillary Clinton playbook. They framed him. It's the wrap-up smear, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Fitton on Newsmax last night explaining.
You know, this archives treated Bill Clinton with kid gloves because we saw it directly. They argued with us over tapes he had that were seemingly classified in part, but then they did a 180 to go after Trump. And we see they did it with the support of the White House. The raid on Trump wouldn't have happened without support of the White House. Of course, it stands to reason that a former president subject to criminal investigations never seen before in American history, the idea that that would be done without White House involvement at the most senior levels, you know, it's obvious that's what happened, and the documents show it's proof positive.
So it's proof positive. What exactly could be in this? There's this mysterious story that keeps bubbling up. This interesting story that keeps bubbling up about the CIA binder. Where's our CIA binder? The CIA binder is gone. It's inside. It was inside of a safe, inside of a skiff. Where's our CIA binder on Russiagate? Where is it? It's really an interesting question. Like, what exactly were the classified documents they were looking for? Now, here's what we know. And Klein, let's pop this up one more time, this Trump inauguration. Here's what we know. We know that when Barack Obama and Donald Trump walked out together to officially send off the 44th president and usher in the 45th president, that this plan was already in the makings. Now, this plan was spying on Donald Trump. There was a secret meeting at the White House on July 8th, 2016, where Barack Obama, along with Joe Biden, along with the CIA director John Brennan, was briefed on the Russia collusion hoax. John Brennan calling it a hoax, saying that Hillary Clinton paid for it, but also that hoax is a predicate to spy on Donald Trump, and they all approved of it. They approved, even though they knew it was fake. John Brennan said it's fake. They all approved of the opportunity to spy on Donald Trump and his associates. And so, setting in motion, obviously, the raid on Donald Trump and the political prosecutions of Donald Trump, that meeting, we are living in year 10 of Russia collusion hoax cover-up, because this has been going on since 2015. Donald Trump's a Russian agent. It's been going on a lot longer than that. We play you clips of them calling John McCain a Russian agent in 2008. It's been going on forever. They've been running this playbook for 20 years. You have to understand the pattern recognition. So as Barack Obama leaves, and Donald Trump's waving and smiling, I think a little, with a bit of naivete, obviously, because they also had planned to rip, this is why they need to get rid of General Flynn, because General Flynn knew all of these things and understood how this operation worked. He would know where the bodies are buried. He's been on the show and he's told us that. This was the operation. They continued to raid Donald Trump. They raided Donald Trump based on the CIA binder that allegedly had all of the information about their spying operation on Trump. Trump has regularly and effusively said he has the evidence to prove that he's been spied on. It just hasn't been declassified yet. And of course, the release of classified information, that's a big no-no. You go straight to jail for those kind of things. And so this was the setup. Pump Trump's documents filled with classified information, maybe even the missing CIA binder, who knows? Ship those pallets down to Mar-A-Lago, raid Mar-A-Lago, charge Donald Trump. Same operation they were using in 2010 to get rid of Barack Obama's number one political adversary, Bob McDonnell, to destroy him so they could run against simp, gimp master, totally cucked, dog on the roof, Mitt Romney, binders full of women. They wanted to run against Romney. Romney was a patsy. They needed to get rid of the guy who would have actually beat Barack Obama, and this was the way they did it. And they used the same guys, the same team, and the same strategy. And they're doing it all to Donald Trump all over again, ladies and gentlemen. So obviously the missing binder. This is the 2016 Russian election interference went missing. What is 2016 Russian election interference? It's spying on Donald Trump. Look, what is it? It's the predicate to spy on Donald Trump. That's what it is. That's what it's been admitted to in court. That's what John Durham found. This is what this is what Russia collusion hoaxers have all found. The Bob Mueller investigation is what they all found. It's all just a predicate to spy on Donald Trump. Now, what about this missing binder? They shoved that into the pallets so that they could come after Trump for it. This is what the question Jesse Waters asking.
Brand new details about how Obama's CIA targeted Trump and started the entire Russia hoax. For years, we were told that tips from an Australian diplomat tipped off the FBI after a random conversation with Papadopoulos, a no-name 20-something. But according to new reporting by Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi, the whole thing was a CIA setup. Former CIA Director John Brennan identified 26 Trump associates to be targeted by the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance, and then those interactions were the targets and were targeted by the FBI as suspicious. And that's how the FBI launched the Russia collusion hoax. The details of this entire operation have been stored in a top-secret binder in a secret room in Washington. Trump ordered the whole thing declassified, and now the rumor is that the binder might be missing.
Well, where could they have put it? Could they have put the missing binder that was inside of a safe, that Kash Patel knows exactly the content of it? He comes on our show and he can't even talk about it because it's so classified. Again, the sharing of classified information makes you a criminal. Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, having a conversation on Rogan's podcast last week, talking about this. Tucker Carlson got threatening calls from CIA lawyers talking about the sharing of classified information and how it's criminal. This is Tucker Carlson while he was at Fox. Oh my. Was this the setup of the century? Will we find out that this is the setup of the century? That is all connected. And it's all connected to that clip of Joe Biden, because Joe Biden was there. Barack Obama, it was their regime that had been humiliated completely, entirely, and had been destroyed by Donald Trump. This was the setup. This was the booby trap. This was the intended result. To ensure that there was leverage against Donald Trump throughout his entire administration, to kneecap the entire administration, and there was a security pack. There was a lever they could pull to put Donald Trump in jail as soon as they were able to ply him out of office. This is it. The horrible thing about liars is that the more you lie, the more you have to cover up your lies. And so you need to continue to lie. And the entire house of cards is now falling down. And by charging Donald Trump and by getting Donald Trump in front of this judge, Eileen Cannon, who you should pray for, it's an incredible judge, and not steamrolling this judge and they want these documents to be kept secret. But with every release of these documents, it becomes more and more clear that this was something that they planted on Trump. There's a setup. They controlled the documents. The Trump didn't eat them, shove them down his pants, put them in Melania's unmentionables. That the government handed Trump the documents after going through them and approving of them and potentially planting criminal evidence in there. The predicate, of course, of all of this is to spy on Trump, to raid Trump, to destroy Trump's civil liberties for an insurance policy so that they could destroy Trump. That's why Barack Obama's smiling there. That's why Barack Obama was able to smile at the inauguration. He knows the fix is in. Michael Schellenberger, one of the best journalists on earth, explaining how this fix operated.
Michael, explain how this all started with the CIA picking these 26 Trump people.
Yeah, good to be with you, Jesse. Well, obviously, this is an extremely serious story and serious allegation by multiple credible sources that Public and Racket, that's Matt Taibbi's publication, have spoken to. These are people that are close to the House intelligence investigation of how the Russia collusion hoax began. The story, as you mentioned, was that, we were just informed by foreign intelligence about this. Our sources tell us a very different story, which is that this was initiated by the U.S. government. It came from within the U.S. government's intelligence community, including the CIA, that they asked the so-called Five Eyes nations intelligence agencies, that's the other English-speaking nations, including Britain and Australia, to spy on 26 Trump associates, or at least they had a list of the 26 associates that were identified. This is new information. Some people have theorized about this and speculated about it. We feel very confident that our sources were in a position to know and are very credible in this report. And it's obviously a very serious allegation because this is illegal spying and it's illegal election interference.
Michael Schellenberger is not a Republican. He's not MAGA. I doubt that he's ever voted. I mean, we've texted a couple times. I don't know him personally, right? But I'm telling you, as a matter of fact, I doubt he's ever voted for a Republican. Michael Schellenberger is straight up, okay, so this guy, this independent journalist, this investigative journalist, is straight up saying exactly what we're saying on this program, which is that they planted classified documents at Mar-a-Lago as the predicate to set up Donald Trump. This is remarkable. Listen to this.
There has been widespread speculation that this binder was the reason or a reason for the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago, and we'll be discussing that tomorrow. But obviously, if this binder contains what we have been told that it contains, which may include raw intelligence, information showing that the U.S. government, the CIA and the intelligence community of the U.S. government, initiated the Russia collusion hoax, that it did not occur in the way that the official story, including the Durham investigation, had portrayed it, then that's extremely serious information. And it may be, if the FBI then went to go get it in order to continue the cover-up of this information, that obviously adds an even more dramatic wrinkle to this. Again, we'll have more to say about it tomorrow, but this is a huge, huge story. I mean, I've been thinking about it in the history of the United States of America. Have we ever had something like this where the intelligence community was weaponized against a political candidate and using our foreign allies to do it? I can't think of a more important or dramatic story.
Yeah. It does absolutely demonstrate something that is so pernicious and so evil, so the rot at the very core of the industrial complex that runs this nation. And that is that they will, without question, without even hesitating, act in an illegal and unconstitutional capacity to destroy any perceived threats. You do not live in a democracy. It is so tough to accept that reality that we don't live in a democracy. It's something, but it's definitely not a democracy. In a democracy, we'd be living through a second Trump term of roaring prosperity, and we'd probably have an extremely diminished and or entirely fired federal bureaucratic deep state along with term limits, which 80 to 90% of the country agrees with. But we don't live in a democracy, do we? We live in sort of a controlled oligarchy where if there is a piece on the chessboard that they don't want, Bob McDonnell running against Barack Obama, Donald Trump coming back into power, well, they'll do anything to destroy it. And you're seeing that here. Mike Davis, obviously somebody who worked hand in glove with the Trump administration, commenting on how the playbook for Russiagate just gets played out again and again and again against Republicans. And we should become smart about this, right? Because as we'll prove to you in a second, they literally yell at the top of their lungs what they're about to do to us. Okay, here we go.
But we really don't know what these records are, do we? I don't know what they are. I mean, we got an affidavit that is all blacked out. I don't even know what they're talking about. Do you? Does anyone?
Well, I know from the Biden Justice Department leaks to Newsweek that they're going in there. The whole point of this raid was to go get President Trump's declassified personal copy of the Crossfire Hurricane records because they're so damning for Obama, Biden, Hillary, James Clapper, Susan Rice, the FBI, the intel community. That's what this raid is about. This was so unprecedented and unnecessary and unlawful unless you understand that was the real reason for this.
Okay, and finally.
Again, these guys are our friends, but it's really important to let the people who truly understand the mechanisms here, the guys who have security clearances. Kash Patel still has the highest level security clearance in the country. Kash Patel still maintains his security clearance. Kash Patel has seen the other half of what they did to Donald Trump in 2016. He's seen the full setup. That's why Kash Patel is such an important voice on this. Here's Kash Patel on the planting of classified evidence at Mar-a-Lago for Donald Trump to get these charges. Go. It does seem like there is like full-scale panic, a lot of buttons being hit right now. One of those buttons is a binder went missing of CIA material. This binder was locked inside of a safe, which was locked inside of another safe called a turducken, I guess. You would probably know more about that than I, but these alarm bells went off, and we did a whole show yesterday on it about, wait a second. So the CIA is losing these binders of Russian intelligence information. That sounds like what Kash told us nigh on 18 months ago when he was in studio. And sure enough, you said they have all of this information exonerating Donald Trump in the Russiagate ordeal, hoax, and the government is sitting on it. They won't allow it to be made public. And now suddenly those binders go missing. What's going on, Kash?
It is the ultimate government con job. Nobody lost that binder. The Russians and the Iranians didn't break into the Central Intelligence Agency, then break into a skiff, then break into a safe, and then secretly escape with the materials so they could blame Donald Trump for missing documents. The CIA knows exactly where that binder is. So does the Department of Justice. But their grundoons in the media are like, how do we turn this on Donald Trump? Because it actually exonerates Donald Trump. So what do? We make it look as if Donald Trump stole the binder, which is completely preposterous. They actually know that. And oh, by the way, there's an email from the Department of Justice to the National Archives that says the binder has been returned. Thank you for giving it to us.
Little did we know. Little did we know what Kash was telling us there during Christmas. You can see the Christmas decorations in the background, right? We're very festive around here. We even did a whole show with a Santa Claus hat on. Little did we know that the little present that was left under the tree by Grinch-like characters inside of the Biden regime, that the present was the classified documents shipped to Donald Trump that then they were going to charge Donald Trump for. Kash Patel just talked about the emails that are now public. If you were listening to the show 6 months ago, you would have heard that. And now we're watching that with like great revelation. I cannot believe he told us live on air what was going to happen and what had happened. Real quick update on everything that we have learned about the documents case really quickly here. And then a final clip sort of crystallizing everything for you about what the play is next. And then we will go immediately to Senator Mike Lee. Jack Smith hid the fact that the National Archives had several conversations with the Biden White House about bringing charges against Donald Trump. The U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland lied about the independence of the investigations of Donald Trump. The Biden White House counsel asked them to be kept in the loop about the criminal charges of Donald Trump. Biden's DOJ instructed the National Archives on how to do the cover-up coordination, and the Department of Energy discovered that Trump had an active security clearance, which would have, of course, exonerated him here. And so they indicted and retroactively terminated it. The real criminals are inside of the Biden White House, and we have the documents to prove it. We've played these. We've shown you these documents before. We'll show them to you again. You can read the emails. Read it and weep. Jack Smith doesn't want you to see this. Jack Smith doesn't want you to know what's actually happening. He just wants you to listen to the narrative. And that brings us very nicely, ladies and gentlemen, to the wrap-up smear. Final thing on all of this. The nature of evil is that it can't be quiet, right? When Christ talks to demons in the Gospels, they like scream out, okay? None of them are silent. They're always screaming and writhing and hissing. Evil speaks, okay? Evil speaks. Oftentimes wisdom is silent or listens. But evil speaks and speaks loudly. When this party is committing evil, they tell you about it. And in an act of like absolute, we can only assume drunkenness, Nancy Pelosi, 7 or 8 highballs in at 11 a.m. in the morning, wobbled up to the stage. This is 12 years ago. This clip is 12 years old, and explained exactly what they do to Republicans. She explained the strategy of the wrap-up smear. And it is so instructive to listen to it just straight from her. So I'm going to remove myself out of it. Obviously, you guys know, where my allegiances lie, and my thought process is, and my worldview, right, on politics. Let's let instead Nancy Pelosi explain what Democrats do to Republicans, how they plant evidence and crimes, how they literally plant crimes on Republicans, destroy them in the press, utilize their organs in the press to destroy them, and then use that as a predicate for an investigation. Here's Nancy Pelosi, while Donald Trump was still donating to Democrats, while Hillary Clinton was attending Donald Trump's wedding with Melania, with Bill. We get those great photos out of that. Here's what Nancy Pelosi was saying about their strategy, and it hasn't changed. Let's go.
Down hospitals and the rest of it. So they don't want them to see that contrast, so they focus on something else. And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident. But I think I'm worth the trouble.
You ever seen that clip 12 years ago? Nancy Pelosi in this moment of senility. So we create a lie, we plant evidence, then we use our organs in the press to destroy that person who we've planted the evidence on and smear it. When people ask us about it, we're like, oh, look, it's been reported by our apparatchiks in the press. And then you merchandise it, right? Then you use it as predicates for investigations, congressional hearings, criminal charges. Nancy Pelosi, telling you 12 years ago exactly what their playbook is, exactly what they use against Bob McDonnell, what they're using against Donald Trump right now, and who can possibly stop it. Well,